Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everyone to this new podcast. Today we are hosting Bilal. He is one of the previous international students in USA, and he's gonna walk us through his journey in USA as an international student. Welcome, Bilal.
Thank you, Zakaria. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Very happy to be here, and I look forward to this podcast, inshallah.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. So, first of thing, we would love to hear your experience in coming to study in USA. What was the process, the steps from your home country to United States?
So, right now I work in the biotech industry here, and before this, I did my bachelor's in engineering, electronics engineering, and that was outside the US, and I was working in Saudi Arabia in the biomedical field, and I was exploring different opportunities, different countries. I was looking at the US, Europe, Germany, Australia, Canada, US, and the American option seemed the most attractive to me because just the size of the US economy, it is massive, it doesn't compare to other countries. Secondly, as a Muslim, I felt the American Muslim community was at a much more advanced stage when compared to the other countries. So I was naturally inclined to come here, and I applied since I was in the related to the biomedical biotech field. I applied. I looked at different states, and Boston was one of my priorities in the list. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to come here for studies. Yeah.
Perfect. You mentioned one important thing, which is Muslim community. How do you see USA when it comes to religion and racism to Muslims?
Alhamdulillah, I've been here for just over 5 years, and I cannot speak for everyone, but in a cosmopolitan or a metropolitan city like Boston, I have never faced any issue of racism. On the contrary, for someone who has grown up all their life in Saudi Arabia, my personal experience is as a Muslim, I had more opportunities to grow and practice more in the US than all my life back in Riyadh. And I think that kind of speaks about not just the freedom, but just the opportunities in the US because of the different scholars, because of English speaking scholars and English speaking material, the opportunities to do dawah, which is not available back home. And in these countries, to be on the straight path, ihdina siratal mustaqim, you really have to stand strong. So when you start doing it, it is not, prayer is not just, it does not just become a ritual. You want to understand, why are you praying, why are you doing this, why does God say this? So I started to study more, I started to learn more. So alhamdulillah, not just from a career perspective, but also from a religious perspective, I found since coming to the US, it has been very beneficial to me.
MashaAllah. Yeah, because I have some friends who are in Europe. Some countries in Europe, they are more racist when it comes to religion and Islam, for example. They don't allow girls to wear hijab. But here in USA, my experience too is very good. And I have never seen any actions of racism. Also in my school, we have Muslim Student Association. We can do our activities, and also I can play Quran, and people they engage very good with that. So yeah, in USA, I think it's an advantage when it comes to practicing our religion.
Yeah, I think you also need to look a bit at history for this. The people who originally came to the US were the religious people from Europe, who the Europeans, they made them leave. So Europeans are more inclined towards secularism, and Americans were always the more practicing faith. Secondly, I believe from my friends and family experience in Europe, Europe is very homogeneous. It is not as diverse. Whether you go to Germany, Netherlands, it is very much 90-95% is the local population. Whereas in the US, they say it is the land of migrants. It is built by migrants, so it is a very diverse population, and Alhamdulillah, really, they really respect when you talk about religion, not just at university with Muslim student associations and the university is helping them, not just helping them, funding them to do iftars and eat the dinners. Also at my workplace, all the companies I've worked for here, they have made sure I have a separate room for salah, and I think that is. I still remember the first day I joined my internship here, and the office manager, she asked me, "What else do you need? How can I help you?" And I said, "I need a place to pray." And she said, "Oh, we have a separate place to pray." And not just do they have a place to pray, they also have a place to do wudu over there. So I really respect the fact that they respect your personal choices, they respect your right to practice religion, and them coming from an Abrahamic faith themselves, they understand monotheism. They've been very interested, especially practicing Christians. They've been very interested to learn about Islam, about what Islam says about atheism, about LGBTQ, what Islam says about Jesus, about what Islam says about Mary. And when I've explained to them about Surah Maryam and all these things, Americans, the white people, they've really they really appreciate it, and they say this is not what was taught to them on through the media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going back to studies in USA, can you please take us through the process? How did you apply the visa process, choosing the right university that matches your career goals?
Uh, One basic thing about the US, which is different from the Middle East or South Asia. I'm originally from India. Is that the rankings of universities do not matter as much as location. So when you're in Saudi Arabia, if there are top 3 or 4 universities, and everybody wants to apply there. King Fahad, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. But in the US, it is more about location. So if you're in the automobile industry, you just apply to any university in Michigan, whether it's the top university or you apply to a community college. You go to Michigan, you go to Dallas, even the community colleges, and you get jobs. If you are in the oil and gas industry, you apply to Houston, Texas. If you are into mining, you apply to Colorado. If you are into technology, California is like a big hub. Boston, New York, especially Boston and New York. If you're into finance, Boston and New York, you go to any university and you get jobs. It's about opportunities. For me personally, when I was looking at universities, I was looking at basically 2 things. One is the location. Since I'm biotech, I really preferred Boston, Chicago, California, or other places. The second was whether it is a STEM program or not. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. The advantages of a STEM degree versus a non-STEM degree is that after you finish your graduation, you only get 1 year to change your student visa to work visa. But if you have done a STEM degree, instead of 1 year, you get 3 years after your graduation. And I think that is very, very important. Like those 3 years, it makes a big difference. So these were the only 2 options, main 2 criteria. When looking at universities, I had shortlisted one in Texas A&M. I had shortlisted one in Chicago, UIUC, Urbana-Champaign, one in Buffalo, State University of New York, Buffalo, and Northeastern University in Boston. I got acceptance from these 4, and let me tell you why I chose Northeastern. Texas A&M, it was a master's in health administration, similar to an MBA, but in the biotech field. The reason I did not go forward, even though Texas A&M has a very high ranking, is because it was not a STEM degree. The other 2 options, Urbana-Champaign and Buffalo, pretty rankings are really good, but both of them are rural colleges. They are not in cities. Access to cities is very important in getting jobs. Boston really stood out because Boston is like not just the leader in America, but it is the world leader when it comes to biotech. So And Northeastern University being a city campus and it having a STEM degree, like for me, it was like final. Like it was pretty clear to me that Northeastern was the easier option. It was the better option, and that is why I chose Northeastern. Um, I After getting acceptance to Northeastern, just followed up with their paperwork. It's pretty simple process. Applied for the visa. I think
Before, sorry for interrupting you. Before
yeah.
talking about the visa, what were the requirements for the admission for Northeastern?
The GRE, they don't specify what GRE score you need, but they say that you have to write GRE, and then TOEFL for English language. Um, Apart from that, you have to write a SOP, statement of purpose. You need LORs, letters of recommendations from either your professors or your colleagues at your previous workplaces. Yeah, these are the main things: SOP, LOR, GRE, and TOEFL. Uh, for TOEFL score, I think anything above 95 to 100 is a good score, and for GRE, I think a safe score would be something about above 310, 310. Yeah.
Okay, after getting the admission, so for the visa application, what are the most common mistakes do you think students make so they get refused for the visa, and what are the advices you gave to students?
I would say two things that I've seen the most for visa. One is the SOP, statement of purpose. A lot of people they just get the statement of purpose from online, from Google, and you need to understand that the people who read these SOPs, they are seasoned professionals. They have been doing this for the last 20, 25 years. As soon as they read one or two lines of your SOP, they will understand whether this was written by you or whether this is from the internet. So I think that is what the biggest mistake people do, just getting something from the internet and adding their name to that. It is very important that you write your statement of purpose. You talk about your life. You talk about why you want to do a master's, or why you want to come to the US. What is your story, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? That is one thing. The second thing is when applying for a visa, the F1B, the F1 visa, which is the student visa, it is not a dual intention visa. It is a single intention visa. What does that mean? Dual intention means you're coming to work and you might stay, but the F1 being a single intention, it means that you have to go back to your home country. So the most important thing during the visa interview is to convince the visa officer that you are going to come back, and you need to have sufficient amount of proof for that, whether you show your real estate, your properties, your bank account, your family back home. You need to carry that proof. You need to convince them uh, that your intention of coming here is not to settle or to stay illegally.
Okay, one of the most or on one of the common obstacles for international student is the cost of study. Is there any specific financial aid or scholarships that they can get once they got accepted at specific university?
So, what I usually tell most people, I also advise my friends the same, is try to, when you're looking for universities, don't go for like the top ranking university, the most expensive one. Try to go finalize what location you want to go to. Like if you want to go to automobile, just finalize Michigan. Make a list of all the universities in Michigan. See what courses they have, whether they have the degree you want or not. Make a list of those 10, 15 universities. If all of them have the same degrees, then look at the cheapest one, the one that most people do not go to, because that gives you a better chance for scholarship, and it is the cheaper option. So I do not, the US system is not set up that you pay extra $15,000 and it is not worth the ranking. So it is very important that you do not go for the more expensive option. Go for the more reasonable option. And once you are here, Zakaria, you know this, that there are different, you can work with labs, you can be the research assistant, teaching assistant,
Yes.
and there are lots of scholarships which make you like an in-state local student, and your tuition fees goes down.
Talking about financial aid, there are two types of financial aid. There is federal financial aid and there is CSS financial aid. So I recommend for students that to look for CSS financial aid. Some universities offer them, but some no. It's not something common to all universities. So for those who are interested, look for CSS financial aid. Some universities offer that.
Yep. Also, I think state universities have more scholarships than private universities.
Yes,
Yep.
state universities they have more scholarships. Okay, now let's talk about transition from student visa to work visa.
Uh,
Well, before talking about that, let's talk a little bit about internships. How student, what do you recommend for him? Does it to wait until he finishes his studies to do internships, or while he is studying? Tricks to find the internship.
I think this is a very good point, valid point you raised, Zakaria. Internships, I believe they're like, the first step you take once you enter America, the first step to enter the door. It is very important because when you're applying for any jobs, uh, the hiring manager always tends to see whether you have any US experience or not. So having any kind of internship in your field, it really helps. If internships are not possible, then even working for free for a lab that works in your field, doing some research, writing a paper, any US experience really helps. And from my personal experience, that is what helped me. I got an internship, which was later turned to a full time. Internships are not very difficult in the US. Yes, you have to look for them, but because the pay is not great for 6 to 8 months, people usually do it while studying. Um, on an F1 visa, you can work up to 355 days, not 356. So you can work up to 355 days on an internship without causing to your visa.
What I usually recommend students is to engage with clubs on campus. Being participating in campus clubs and activities can significantly enhance um, your academic and social experience. Moreover, the engagement can be pivotal. Not only can be, they are pivotal in securing internships and building a professional network. So the strategy is to look for clubs that align with your personal interests and professional goals at the same time, the intersection. Being part of an organization related to your field, your measure of study, can provide practical experience and knowledge that is valuable in the workplace. Also, participating and seek leadership positions within clubs because leadership roles demonstrate initiatives, responsibility. Also, not only being a member of a club, maybe create a club, participate and seeking leadership positions within clubs because leadership roles demonstrate initiative, responsibility, and the ability to work in a team. Those all qualities uh, which employer look for during an internship or work interview. Now, the transition from visa student to visa work.
Uh, this is one of the more complicated parts of the American education system. Um, so there's just one way to transition from a student visa to work visa, and that is the lottery system. There are two types of lotteries. One is the general lottery. Every student who wants to get a work visa, his company, like, you cannot do it individually. You need to be a company, and just once a year in March, there's a lottery. Your company has to file for you in this lottery. So the first lottery is the general lottery. This is for all students. Um, and the second is the advanced degree lottery. Let me tell you the difference between the two. In the first lottery, there are about 400,000 applicants, and the number of visas are probably around like 50,000. So your chances are like 1 in 8, which is a pretty steep number. Since this is just once a year and you are on a STEM degree, you have only three opportunities. You have only three chances to file for this lottery. So if you come to the US with just do a bachelor's degree and you want to go into work, it is work visa. It is not so simple unless you just work 3 years on STEM and go back to school. The second lottery is the advanced degree. Advanced degree has about again 30 or 40,000 visas, but the good thing is number of applicants are only about 60 or 70,000. So your chances are like 1 in 2. Advanced degrees, anyone who has a master's or above, master's, PhD or postdoc, only they can apply. The companies can apply for them for the advanced degree lottery. So once the company applies in March and USCIS does a lottery, and if your name is picked up, then the company has to further file all your papers, and by October you get the approval and you are on a work visa.
Can a student apply, for example, someone who has a master degree or PhD, can apply to both lotteries at the same time?
Yes, yes, you can apply to both.
Okay. A lot of students, I keep receiving some questions. They said if we got graduated in the community college, which means associate degree, can we still have right to get sponsorship and work?
Um, I'm not very sure about that. I would not like to speak unless I'm sure, but the H1B visa, it is called the specialty occupation visa. It is for people who have a special set of skills that the American citizens do not have. So for those with very basic degrees, it is difficult for the company to justify hiring you to the United States Citizen and Immigration Services. So the justification is very difficult, and a lot of times USCIS rejects your application. So we need to be mindful of that.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I read before in the United States Immigration Service that they required for the H1B visa application you need at least bachelor degree.
I see.
So with community college, no, you cannot apply. You need to transfer for a 4 years university, and then after a bachelor degree, you can start looking for job. And talking for people who wants to do the OPT, optional practical training, you need to know that you have to apply in your last month, in your last semester, and you have once your OPT is active, you have only 2 months. If you don't get the job, your OPT is
Expired.
expired. Yes, and
Yes.
then you have to transfer to another university or go back home.
Yep. And the other thing people need to know is yes, STEM degree gives you 3 years time after graduation, but it is not just for everyone. After you get when you apply for OPT in your final semester, you get just 1 year OPT. At the end of your 1 year, you again need to apply for something which is called STEM OPT extension, a 2 years extension. To get this extension approved by USCIS, you need to work in the same field that you studied in. So if you are a mechanical engineer, you need to work, your job role should encompass mechanical engineering. You cannot be a mechanical engineer and work as a nurse because USCIS will not approve your application. If you've done computer science, you need to work in computer science related fields. You cannot work in just any field to have the STEM OPT extension.
Yeah, you need to stay in the same major.
Yeah.
So, based on your experience, which industries or sectors are the most sponsor students, and the students that are measuring in those industries, they get sponsorship?
When it comes to sponsorship, you need to understand that because it's a specialty occupation visa, the USCIS and also companies, they look to sponsor people who have skill sets that the local American population does not have. So when you look at American population, there's a lot of people in finance, there's a lot of people in arts, there is a lot of people um, in more like similar like very basic fields. Fields that have less skill set within the American population is tech, engineering, and medical. So these three are like the most highly sponsored, especially tech. I think more than 80% of visas are sponsored by tech companies, the H1B visas.
Uh, One of the most struggles again for students is to choose their path, to choose the major. Uh, what what do you advise for high school students how they can choose what they want to study and they want to major in?
I think that's a very personal decision. I would ask everyone to look at what their aptitude is, what their interest is, because this is not like high school. When you come to another country, when you pick a field, it is difficult to switch, so especially when you're an international student. So when you're picking your major, make sure that you have aptitude for that. The second thing is it is something you enjoy doing. It is something that you wake up every day and you're fine with going to work, getting ready and going to work to do the job. So make sure you're good at it, make sure you have aptitude, and the third thing, very important thing, is make sure it pays well, because that is a very important thing. People might say, oh, I don't like it, but if it pays well, end of the day, the peace of mind is something else.
I think that's all. We cover everything.
That's
Do you have anything else you wanna add?
uh I think the US option for international students is very good if you are in a STEM major, if you are in a STEM field, um, because apart from that, it becomes difficult. The visa system is not very easy here. The second thing I would like to say is that a lot of international students, because of the rules, they tend to take the easier shortcut path of sometimes doing things that are not within the legal boundaries. Maybe short term, maybe for a month, for a few months, you might get extra money, extra few $100s. But let me tell you, it does not pay in the end. It always leads to trouble. So stay away from what is not legal. Be within the rules that were set by the government. Do your best. Networking is very important in the US. Meeting people, not just in your masjid, in your community, in your university, but just anywhere. Meet people, be inquisitive, attend conferences, attend any events, and yeah, have tawakkul on Allah, make dua, and inshallah, Allah will open doors for everyone.
Inshallah. Thank you so much again, Sibir, for all those advices and those information. We appreciate your time to be with us today. Jazakallah khairan.
Well, yeah, Zakaria, I really, I'm honored that you called me for your podcast. Jazakallah khair. I wish you the
My
best.
pleasure.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.